This week, the theme in the book is prayer. And Barbara Brown Taylor calls that the practice of being present to God. So in our yoga, oftentimes I'll suggest that you can make your entire practice a moving prayer, so feel free to do that today if you want. She says early on in this chapter that some of the folks she learned about prayer from call gratefulness the heart of prayer. So perhaps as you set your intention, it is centered around gratitude. So as we get moving today, we're going to move our spine a little bit differently and really try to isolate our awareness, a greater awareness of what's going on with our spine. And we might actually use our drishti, our focus with our eyes, kind of finding ways to see in a new way. And maybe that's what a life of prayer is all about. So you'll want to have blocks, maybe for balance or a chair if that's helpful, but we're not going to use like a strap or anything like that. In fact, we're even going to try not to use our arms a lot. The concept being that the more we use our arms to manipulate the spine, the less we're actually being aware of what's going on with our core muscles and the way our spine works. And for breath practice, we're simply going to inhale and exhale. So I invite you to sit up tall. You can be sitting on a chair or a block. Maybe just resting your hands, palms facing up, so we're not using any energy in our arms to hold us upright. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. As you inhale, inhaling presence or love or openness. Exhaling gratitude or whatever else it is you've chosen to set as your intention. Then let that go. Maybe gently float your eyes open and look from one side. And as you go to the other, really seeing what's around you. Look to the other side. Do that again, noticing as much as you can. One way to the other. And then come on back to center. As you exhale, maybe drop your chin to your chest. And as you inhale, maybe gently raising your gaze, but try not to collapse the back of the neck, lengthen the front of the neck instead. And then come on back to neutral. And then we're going to move like we normally do, but not using our arms and not using our pelvis. Right? So really just involving the spine. So start from the waist up. And as you exhale, just pull the mid-back back, maybe letting your head drop gently. Keeping your pelvis neutral. And then inhale, come on back to neutral. Then inhale, extending but lifting your chest starting from the waist. And again, as your gaze goes up, think about keeping both sides of the neck long, so we're not dropping into the back of the neck. So we could maybe speed that up a little bit, exhaling just from the waist up. Notice your spine, inhaling, gently arch. And exhaling, hollow out. And inhaling, gently arch. We're going to add the arms this time on the extension, exhaling, hollowing out just from the waist above. I can feel my pelvis even tilt back a little bit there. Inhaling, lift, and maybe this time you take your arms up. There's an increased extension. Softening just from the waist up. Drop your arms. And inhaling, lift, and maybe increase that extension with the arms up. And come on back to neutral. Take a moment to notice how your spine feels. So I'm going to invite you to now put your palms gently on your shoulders, and we'll twist. So inhale and get tall. Exhaling, twist to one side from the waist up. Maybe looking over your back shoulder if that feels right. Then stay here. Inhale, get taller. And maybe take your gaze to your front shoulder, taking in as much of what's around you as you can. Then you might want to extend your arms. So without crunching or pinching or forcing, maybe deepen the twist. And come on back to neutral. And cross your arms again. Inhale, get tall. And exhale, twist the other way. From the waist up, using your core muscles. Then maybe you want to gently increase that with your arms. So this is a way to maybe make this more available, right? Pretty much anybody can work just with their own muscle energy without hurting themselves. Maybe you twist your gaze. And come on back to neutral. Nice. And then we'll do the same thing to the side. So I'm going to cross our arms again. Inhale, sit really, really tall. And trying to stay long on both sides so we're not dropping into the shorter side. Keeping both hips rooted. This might be enough. Or you might want to lift your elbow. Or you might want to gaze down and take your arm all the way up. Feeling more lengthening, but not dropping here. Maybe you want to shift your gaze forward, all the way up at your fingertips. And then inhale, come on back to neutral. It's a bit more challenging this way, right? So inhale, get tall again. And exhale, gently folding to the side, staying long on the lower side. So sticking with your intention. Maybe you're going to raise that elbow. Maybe it feels different on this side. Maybe you're going to take the arm all the way up. Decide where you want to set your drishti, your focus. And then come on up to neutral. Take a moment to notice how your spine feels. Maybe a lot more energy in that awareness. So safely roll yourself down onto your back. Maybe tuck your pelvis, lift your hips, drop it down. And then rather than grabbing our knee as we draw our knee into our chest, we're going to leave our arms neutral, just let them rest on the mat. Pull your left knee in toward your chest, just using your core strength. Maybe you want to extend your right leg out. Maybe you could let your right leg hover, engaging the core even more. No pain, right? If you need to bring the leg higher up or bend it a little bit, you can do that. And then bring your right knee to meet your left. And stretch the left one out. Pull the right one in. So we can kind of change our awareness and our intention, doing the same things we always do. Drawing your knees into your chest again. So we're going to do that same thing, left knee and right leg out. So last week I was doing some pruning in my mom's garden. It felt a lot like cutting hair. So rather than being cranky about the pruning, I made an opportunity to offer out some positive energy or prayer for the person that cuts my hair. Completely change the activity. Go ahead and switch. Really firing up those belly muscles. And come on back in. Doesn't take much, right? Then if you'd like to hold the backs of your legs or below your knees, just rock from side to side a little bit. And then go ahead and plant your feet. And we're going to experiment in the same way with the bridge pose. So I can touch my heels with my fingertips. You might want to try and get your heels close like that if you can. But then again, cross your arms over your shoulders, just gently touching your shoulders with your hands. Spread your feet wide, and inhaling, lift your hips in a bridge pose. So without pushing into the mat with your hands, it might feel a little bit different. So where can you find more length in your spine? Exhaling, gently rolling or dropping down. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling, lift. Get long. And exhaling, drop. And again, inhaling, lift. And exhaling, drop. Take your arms gently, rest them by your side, palms facing down. And this time we'll add the arms. We're going to take them all the way up overhead. So inhaling, lift into a bridge pose. Let the backs of your arms tap behind you. And then exhaling, come on back down. Do that 1 more time. Inhaling, lift. And exhaling down. Nice. And take a breath. And then go walk your feet a little bit wider. Maybe feel the edges of your mat. And just gently windshield wiper your knees. Feel all those muscles in your hips, lower spine. Do it a couple times. Good. And then walk your feet back in, draw your knees into your chest. So we're going to transition to all fours, right? So you can do that by rolling to your side and pushing yourself up, or if you wanted, you could gently do a little rocking. All right, and come on up. Nice. So inhaling, walk your hands out so that you can get your shoulders over your wrists, right? In that modified plank. Maybe point those toes and push the feet into the mat. Tuck your tailbone and exhale very slowly, maybe to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop yourself down and make that pillow for your head with your hands. Just rock your hips from side to side. And we're going to squeeze those inner thighs together and inhale. Just lift the heels. See if you can kind of keep it out of the spine. The spine stays nice and neutral and long. And exhale, drop. Push those toes into the mat again. And on an inhale, lift your heels. And let them drop. Go ahead and rock your hips from side to side again. So this time we will raise our shoulders, right, but not use our hands. So you could reach your fingertips down by your side. All right, you can leave them resting on the mat. So make this about the spine. Inhaling, raise your shoulders, gently gazing forward. Might not be able to go as far as we normally do. Just keep those back muscles engaged. Legs active. And exhale down. Maybe let your forehead touch. We'll do that 1 more time. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Squeeze your arms in, elbows into the wrists, into the ribs, and push yourself back to that modified plank. Maybe take your knees a little bit wider and find a child's pose. So, many cultures use this pose in prayer. It can be pretty humbling, but also restful. So settle in for just a couple of breaths. Come back to that intention that you set. Then on an inhale, pull your low belly in, Bring yourself back to all fours. We're going to bring our left leg forward for a low lunge. You can grab hold of a block if it's helpful. Drop your tailbone. And again, just practice that spinal extension without raising your arms. So make sure you're nice and stable. And just think of lengthening from above the waist, maybe raising your gaze, keeping the neck long in both front and back. One more deep breath here. Exhale, pull your low belly in. Bring your hands to the mat. We're going to come to downward facing dog. So find your downward facing dog. And walk your dog. Just notice how that feels. Then pull your low belly in. Lift your hips nice and high. Puff out your chest. Maybe rotate your thigh bones inward slightly. Your upper arms outward slightly. Drop your heels. Release your jaw. Pull your low belly in and float your knees down. And we're going to take a low lunge on the other side. Drop your tailbone, get nice and stable, and then without using your arms, just raise your gaze. And exhaling, find the floor. On an inhale, take yourself back to downward facing dog. This time, soften your knees. Walk your feet into. Meet your hands, find a forward fold. Use your block if it's helpful. So if it's safe for your spine, we're going to soften our knees and roll up one vertebra at a time. Stack your lumbar spine. Stack your ribs. And stack your head right over your shoulders as your legs lengthen. So we'll take a tree pose. Perhaps starting with your left leg, right? Let's do this without using our hands today. So maybe you can get your heel above your knee or up into the inner thigh. Calf is fine too, right? So maybe you want to practice switching your drishti. This is hard, so hold on to a wall. It's helpful, or a chair. Taking your gaze to the side. Maybe you want to raise your arms out wide, increasing your awareness of the space you're taking up. A little wobbly, see if you can come back to drishti forward. And exhaling, gently release. Come back to Tadasana. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So find a safe place, no weight in the knee, right? Feel that axial extension, that spine getting really long. And maybe shifting your gaze. Maybe raising your arms. Pretty much anything can be a prayer. And exhaling, gently release. Nice. So let's come back to the top of our mat. We're going to do one sun salutation. Inhaling, sweep your arms up. Exhaling, bring your hands through your heart center, hang in a forward fold. Inhale, fingertips under the knees, halfway up. Exhaling, soften the knees. Take your left leg way back in high lunge. We're going to float that back knee down. And then we're going to set up for gate pose. So you're going to shift your hips to the long edge of your mat, safely turning that shin so that it's parallel to the short edge of your mat, and your knee and your foot are all in line. Right. So again, we're going to do this pose without using our arms to start. So inhale, get really, really tall. And exhale, just lengthen. Taking length in both sides. Right, so it might not feel like you're moving too much, but use those core muscles. So then maybe you want to take that other arm up. And again, you could shift your gaze to your foot, or straight forward, or maybe up. And then come on back to neutral. We're going to safely shift ourselves back to low lunge, right? So being careful with that knee that you're on, right? And then bring your knees together, top of a push-up or modified push-up plank. Exhaling, chaturanga down. Don't use your hands, just let them hover. Push your feet into the mat. Gentle cobra. Exhaling, forehead down. Drop your hands, reverse your push-up. Come on back to child's pose. And your intention, take a breath. And pull your low belly in, find your way to downward facing dog. So maybe that's through plank, lifting your hips up and back. And then that leg that was extended in gate pose, lift it up. Pull the knee to the chest. Either float your knees down or find your way to high lunge. Knee right over the ankle, and bring your back foot to meet your front. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhaling, hang. Once again, drop your hips, roll up nice and gently. Stacking the spine. We'll do the same thing to the other side. I'm just going to turn around so I don't have my back to you. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, fold. Soften the knees, hang like a rag doll. Inhale, halfway up, fingers under the knees, spine nice and long. Exhaling. The right leg goes way back in high lunge. You're going to float that knee down and set up for gate pose. So gently and safely turning the long edge of your mat, raising your shoulders over your hips, right? We're going to get long without using our hands first. So notice where you feel this. Decide where you want to put your gaze. Maybe lifting the elbow or lengthening the arm. Inhaling, come on back up. Safely transitioning that low lunge, then top of your push-up plank. Exhaling, chaturanga down to the mat. So don't use your arms, extend your spine, just with the muscles in your back. And then exhale, forehead to the mat, and release into your downward facing dog. And float your knees down and take a child's pose again. Pull your low belly in, safely coming to seated. So take a moment to check in with your body and decide what it needs. Right, so you could spend a few minutes doing whatever comes to mind for you. I'm going to finish in a nice, easy straddle stretch. So you could do bound angle, you could do another spine extension, maybe more bridge pose, or you can follow along. So first I'm going to sit up tall, toes are pointing straight up, Knees can be a little bit bent, if that's helpful, or sit up on a block. And just extend your spine forward. So my head, my neck are an extension of the spine. Maybe as you exhale, you can go a little deeper. So one other thing that Barbara Brown Taylor talks about, which I found very entertaining but also helpful, is when she talks about answered prayer, she really reminds us that it's in the eye of the beholder, right? So what sounds like silence to one person might sound like an answer to another. She says, usually when people talk about answered prayer, it sounds like someone's trying to sell you something or that they're not quite sober. Again, it's our choice. Right? Maybe you can exhale, go a little bit deeper. Maybe rest your forehead on a block that's available. Take a few more breaths. So as we finish up, perhaps returning to gratitude for this practice. Come out of your straddle if you're there, maybe shake your legs a little bit. And then we're going to roll ourselves safely down onto our back. Finish up. Shavasana, the most important pose of all. Truly the practice of being present to God. So maybe lift your hips, do any adjusting, tuck your shoulder blades, keep your knees bent or stretch them out. It's a good opportunity to recall your intention and then let it go. Inhale, presence. Exhale, gratitude. And then just follow your inhales and your exhales till you don't need them anymore. Just remaining present, nothing to do until you hear my voice again. So begin to get moving, perhaps feeling the ground underneath you, fully supporting you. You can move however you like. Maybe it's flexing your feet, firming up your legs. Maybe it's lengthening the spine, like a big morning stretch, but without using your arms. And maybe you want to add some movement with the arms and the knees. So eventually rolling to one side and staying there for a few breaths, or pushing yourself all the way up to seated. You might want to keep your eyes closed. So Barbara Brown Taylor suggests that the meaning we give to what happens in our lives is our final, inviolable freedom. Only you can say whether God answered you. The choice is yours. And she asked this question, are you still waiting for God to answer you? Or is your life the answer you have been seeking, hiding in plain view? So remember that just about anything you do in your life can be prayer. Inhaling, sit up tall, bring your hands to your heart center. Exhaling, bow your head to your own heart for showing up, for sending out positive energy, for being grateful. I'm grateful that you chose to practice with me. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Namaste.